At 64 years old, the man who dominated darts like no one before him, and probably no one ever will, has finally walked away. But don't be fooled. Phil Taylor's life today isn't what fans expected. After 16 world titles, millions in prize money, and decades in the spotlight, he's facing battles he never saw coming and making moves that might just surprise everyone. For a man who spent over 3 decades rewriting the history of darts, Phil Taylor's final competitive match wasn't the grand spectacle many fans had imagined. No world stage, no roaring crowd in Alexandra Palace. Instead, it was the 2024 World Seniors Darts Championship and his opponent, a relatively unknown player from Germany, Manfred Bill Derl. Phil stepped up to the Oki one last time, not as the unbeatable titan of the PDC, but as a 63-year-old legend trying to squeeze one more moment of magic out of a body that had given everything. The match was tight. Classic Phil, he fought for every leg. But this time, there was no miracle finish. He lost 3-2, and the silence that followed was louder than any crowd roar. Fans watching knew it then, even before he said the words. The era of the power had come to an end, but it wasn't just about the scoreboard. Phil had been battling off stage too. Chronic hip pain had worsened over the past year. He'd already undergone a full hip replacement and struggled with recovery. The rehab was brutal, and every match felt like a test of pain tolerance more than skill. He'd pulled out of other senior events before due to the same issue. Eventually, it became clear his body couldn't handle the demands of professional competition anymore. And so, in early 2025, he made it official. Phil Taylor publicly confirmed his full retirement from darts, not just from the PDC, but from all competitive play, including the World Seniors Tour. In a heartfelt statement, he thanked fans for their loyalty and love, calling them the backbone of his career. He also acknowledged the sport itself, which had evolved so much since his early days, and which he had helped transform into a global phenomenon. He didn't cry, he didn't need to. The weight of 4 decades on the road, 16 world titles, and thousands of matches was written across his face. It wasn't a defeat, it was a decision. A conscious, courageous step back from a game he still loved, but could no longer compete in at the level he demanded from himself. No pyrotechnics, no farewell tour, just one last walk off stage, head held high. But even as he left the spotlight, his story was far from over. Phil had always played through the pain, tendon strains, back stiffness, travel fatigue, you name it. But nothing prepared him for what came next. The hip pain wasn't just slowing him down, it was breaking him. He later admitted it was the worst pain he'd ever experienced. And that says a lot coming from someone who played through decades of pressure at the top. He went in for surgery, a full hip replacement. But even after that, the road back was rough. Recovery was slower than expected. Training wasn't just difficult, it felt impossible. And for a guy like Phil, who built his career on precision and posture, a single misalignment could end it all. That's when the reality hit. This wasn't just a break from the game, it was the end. Fans hoped for one last run, maybe a comeback, even just on the exhibition circuit. But Phil was clear, this was it. No comeback tour, no final walk on music. He was out, for good. But walking away from the game didn't mean disappearing completely. Phil Taylor may have left the Oki, but he didn't vanish from the darts world. In fact, just weeks after stepping away, he made a move that caught everyone off guard. He turned down a cushy job offer from Sky Sports. Why? Because the hours were too long. Instead, he chose something different, something smarter. He joined the Modus Super Series as a pundit and host, a role that lets him stay close to the action without grinding through endless travel or high-pressure schedules. Fans were surprised. This wasn't the flashy TV gig many expected, but it was vintage Phil, low-key, focused, and on his terms. In this new chapter, he's offering sharp insights, behind-the-scenes stories, and his trademark dry humor without needing to lift a dart. He's not just watching the game, he's shaping how we understand it. But what really caught fans off guard? He's not just talking about the past, he's mentoring the future. Even in retirement, Phil Taylor isn't content to sit on the sidelines. He's got his eye on the future, and one name keeps coming up: Luke Littler. At just 17, Littler's been turning heads, and Phil, he sees something familiar in the kid, but also something dangerous. Phil's been open about it. He thinks Littler has the raw talent to break every record in the book, but he also knows talent isn't enough. At 17, Phil once said, I was working in a sheet metal factory. He's got the whole world watching him already. That kind of pressure? It can crack people. So he stepped in, not as a coach, but as a quiet advisor. He's talked publicly about helping Littler with discipline, focus, and avoiding the distractions that come with sudden fame. It's a full circle moment, the legend guiding the prodigy. Not because he has to, but because he knows what happens when fame moves faster than maturity. And while he's shaping the future, he's also finally taking time to reflect on the past. Phil Taylor's story isn't just about trophies, it's about transformation. From a working class background in Stoke-on-Trent to becoming a global icon, he's lived through fame, criticism, burnout, and redemption. And now, he's quieter, more reflective, even a little vulnerable. In recent interviews, he's admitted he didn't always handle the spotlight perfectly. There were controversies, tension with rivals, and moments where the pressure nearly broke him. But now he seems focused on something else: peace. No more travel, no more media circus, just the occasional event, time with family, and keeping his health in check. There's even a sense that he's enjoying not being the power anymore. For the first time in decades, he's not chasing titles, he's just living. But even in his quietest moments, one thing is clear: darts will never be far behind. Retirement hasn't slowed Phil down, it's just redirected him. While he may not be chasing trophies anymore, he's still chasing purpose. These days, his schedule looks very different. Media appearances, mentorship talks, and the occasional exhibition to keep his competitive fire burning just enough. But it's not all work. After decades of living on the road, Phil has shifted his focus inward toward his health and, more importantly, his family. He has 4 children, and though he's always kept his private life away from the tabloids, those close to him say he's trying to make up for lost time. Being away for tournaments most of the year meant missing birthdays, milestones, and normal family routines. Now, he's present, and he values that more than any trophy. He's also kept things grounded. No Hollywood-style mansion or showy lifestyle. Phil still lives in the UK, in a relatively modest home for someone who once earned millions. He said that being flashy never suited him. His joy now comes from quiet moments, barbecues with family, watching football on the weekend, and staying out of the chaos of constant travel. There were personal struggles too. His marriage ended in 2005 after 22 years, but he's since kept relationships and personal matters private. What's clear is that at this stage in life, peace and privacy are his real wins. He's focused on staying healthy, spending more time with loved ones, and finally enjoying what he built without the pressure to prove anything. But don't mistake his silence for irrelevance, because even in retirement, Phil Taylor's shadow still looms large over the sport he helped build. Phil Taylor didn't just play darts, he defined it, and while his competitive days are behind him, his presence is still everywhere, in the rising stars who studied his every throw, in the fans who still chant his name, and in the very shape of the game itself, which changed forever because he existed. At 64, he's no longer chasing titles, but he's still setting the tone. His legacy isn't just about what he won, it's about what he left behind. A blueprint for greatness and a standard no one's matched. So, how does Phil Taylor live today? Quietly, thoughtfully, but with the quiet confidence of a man who knows, even if he never lifts another dart again, the world of darts will always remember the power.